As a leader in these times, many of us find ourselves managing a remote workforce. Today, I want to give you 5 tips on how to keep that team running effectively and efficiently in a remote ecosystem. Welcome back, folks. I'm Paul Erickson, and if you're here for the first time, I'm super excited to share these 5 tips for how to manage a remote team. If there's other questions about leadership that you have, please leave them in the comments below, and let's see if we can address those in a future video. Watch to the end of this video, and I'll show you how to download these tips, as well as some tactics on how you can employ some of these tips. Okay, tip number 1. You need a clear communication strategy. Your team's going to be scrambling a little bit, the messages will be mixed. You want to make sure that your team understands how they should be communicating, what they should be communicating with, and whom they should be communicating with. Some of the challenges here are, what are the thresholds by which they should be doing this communication? What rises to the occurrence of needing to have a phone call? Should it just be a text? Is email okay? Can we get to it tomorrow? So helping understand what that clear communication strategy is and communicating expectations very clearly. The courageous leader is not the one who tells their team what they have to do, but can also help their team understand what it's okay not to do. We have to remember that we've sent this workforce home, and there's other people in that house in many occasions, right? Elderly parents, how do they take care of that? Children, no daycare. How are we sending our kids to school? How are we keeping our children connected to school? Your employees and your staff have additional concerns beyond what their daily tasks at work might be. You need to be a compassionate leader in these times. Okay, our second tip. Number 2. Leverage the technologies. Your company may have had some understanding of what remote communication would look like, but they probably didn't understand the scale of the communication that would be there. More often than not, we set a meeting, we all gather into a room, we share some ideas, we come to some decisions, and we go about our workday solving those problems. That's not possible these days. So does your company have the right technology for video conferencing, for planning? What about those plans? Are you able to create the plan? Are you able to track the plan? Does the team understand how they can see where we're at on that plan? So we need to employ these technologies that exist. And if you look in the description below, I'll share some links, and those links are to monday.com or asana.com. When we talk about communication, maybe it's Zoom, maybe it's Microsoft Teams if your company is using that. Heck, even Facebook has an option for us these days. Something to consider with these technologies is that you've got to make sure you're only picking one technology for each of these particular problems, right? So one video conferencing solution, one planning solution, and one of whatever other solutions might be needed for your particular industry. Additionally, there's probably going to be some training that's needed here. The thing that I call out at this point is that many of these applications have plenty of bells and whistles. You probably don't need all of those bells and whistles. What's the core part of this application that your team needs to use so they can remain effective and efficient? So devise a training plan, share out that training plan, think MVP. What's the least I can give to my team so that they can be effective in this process? Number 3, we need daily check-ins. You need to check in with your people individually, but also as a team. In these times, things can happen overnight. We need to know what things happened overnight that might affect our daily planning for today. And if it is blocking whatever we were going to do today, as a team, let's swarm around that problem and figure out how we're going to overcome that. What are we going to do today? You need to help the team stay connected and understand that there's a group of people that is surrounding them and we're all in the same boat working towards a common goal. So stay connected. Number 4, objectives are still the goal. We shouldn't be giving our teams too much detail or micromanaging them. They're our team. We've put them in this position. We need to trust them in this regard. But we need to keep them focused on the goals, help them understand to skip over some of the details. And as I spoke to earlier, the courage isn't telling the team what they have to do. It's reminding them of the things that we don't have to do in these particular times. Finally, number 5, we need to make sure that the team's taking care of themselves. In these times, people are working from home, which means they're waking up in the place that they work, and they're going to bed in the place that they work. It's very challenging for them to stay disconnected or figure out a way to disconnect from work. You need to remind them they need to take care of themselves, right? On a daily basis, maybe that's some time alone, meditation, go do a workout, maybe you run. Whatever it is, take time for yourself. That's not to say you have to ignore your family needs or ignore your workday needs, but you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself. We need the team at full strength. We need you to help us make these tough decisions and help guide us out of these tough, difficult times. It's our job to help the team make sure that they're taking care of themselves. If you find these tips useful, think about giving me a thumbs up right down below. Now would be a great time to leave a comment below. How are you going to use these tips to help your team remain effective and efficient? Or are there some tips and ideas that you use that maybe we didn't go over today? Help share those with this community. Remember, these are difficult times for the company, they're difficult times for you, they're difficult times for the staff. It's in these times that we need your leadership, we need your clear communication, and we need your empathy. It's this guidance that's going to help see the team through. Don't forget to subscribe. And when you subscribe, hit that little bell. That bell is what notifies you every time I upload new videos. There's a link below in the description, and that's going to take you to those tips that I promised you earlier on. In addition to the tips that we've talked about, again, I'm going to give you some tactics how you can help employ those across your team. Thank you for sharing this time with me, and I hope to see you in the next video. You may also find this video helpful. If you find this content helpful, please consider subscribing and hit the bell icon. That's what's going to notify you every time I upload new content.